Well, good afternoon on this May 8th of 2018. Welcome to the Tuesday noon doctor's call, and we call it the doctor's call because we have multiple doctors involved with our program. Today specifically, we're going to be having the invitation of Dr. Kim and Dr. Kurt on the call, who are going to talk to us about numerous different things, but we will in the future be having several different doctors join us on the call, some from clear across the world. So make sure you tune in every Tuesday to hear what the doctors have to say. The doctors are working with a unique company called Sisel International. Sisel produces very effective products that are non-toxic and safe, probably some of the best you'll ever find in the world. And as you listen more and get to know us and our products, you'll come to that realization yourself. So if you have been invited to the doctor's call by someone else, I'm here.
Okay.
Please
silence yourself for a second.
Please get back with the person who have invited you to this call or where you saw this post. So right now I would like to introduce our two doctors, Dr. Dr. Kurt Fisnick from Fargo, North Dakota, but he happens to be in Michigan today with Dr. Kim Schunkweiler. And so they're doing a dual call, and we're going to be discussing regenerative medicine and why they are interested in this, how they became doctors, what they're passionate about, and we're just going to move forward with the call. So welcome, Dr. Kim, and welcome, Dr. Kurt.
Well, thanks, Andrea, and thanks for hosting the call and introducing us every week. And I really appreciate that you take the time to do that. You know, it's interesting when you get involved with healthcare. There's a lot of reasons that people go into healthcare and Dr. Kim and I were just sitting out on his patio this morning, having coffee out here and kind of talking about our history. And we both graduated back in December of 1987 in chiropractic, and we started talking about why did we go into it, and what's changed as we've gone through it. Why are we both here with Sisel now? Why are we working with a company like Sisel? And so I thought, what a great conversation to have on a call and to share with everybody. My name is Dr. Kurt Fisnick, like Andrea said. A lot of people just call me Doc Fizz because they have a hard time pronouncing and spelling my last name. And so if you call me Doc Fizz, if you look for me on the internet, it's Doc Fizz. But I was going to school for engineering back in the 80s. I had a scholarship to North Dakota State University. I was going to school for mechanical engineering, and I look back at it now, and I just tell people, I went through 3.5 years of engineering college, and rarely did I even buy the book. I just go to class, and I'd hear what the teachers were saying, and I'd understand it, and I didn't study, and I was passing all the classes, right? And I look back at it now, and I just didn't have that drive to excel at it, and that's why I took the classes. And how many people go through engineering and never even buy the books to learn it? And that's what I was doing. And I remember I was going into my senior year and talking to Dr. Gettler, who was my senior advisor. And he basically asked me, he said, "Hey, Kurt," he says, "what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do when you graduate with this mechanical engineering degree?" And at that time, back in the 70s, early 80s, if anybody are my age or older, you remember that cars really didn't last that long. If you got 100 miles out of a car, it was a long-lasting car, and parts would fall off of them. The interiors were really shabbily made. It was just nothing really good about it. And I came from a kind of a car family. I've got over 50 cars now, and my dad's probably got another 30, and my brother's probably got another 30, and my kids have probably another 20 between them. And so we're car people. Anyhow, I told my senior advisor that I wanted to design a car that didn't break down. I wanted to design a car that would virtually just last. Not forever, but a long time. And And I said, my ultimate goal is, I said, I have this dream that there's got to be a way of taking water and splitting it from hydrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, H2O into hydrogen and oxygen, so you can burn it as fuel. Just fill your gas tank with water and go away. And I remember Dr. Getler looked at me and he kind of chuckled a little bit. He said, yeah. He said, you don't want to do that. He said, the auto manufacturers, they don't want cars that don't break down. That's how they make money, is by, selling you replacements and selling parts. And the gas companies, they make money by selling you fuel. I mean, can you imagine if all of a sudden you're running a car on water? And then I thought about it, like, man, right? And so I went and I dropped out of college for a little bit, and I went and worked quality control at a factory. And I saw how things were made, and I'm like, holy crap, that's not what I want to do. And I'd always had a bad back, from high school football, and I decided, I want to be a chiropractor, because there's a field that I can go into. I can fix people, and I can really fix them, and everybody's gonna be happy, and it's gonna make me feel good. Nothing better than a feeling of pride that you got your job done, and so that's why I went into chiropractic, and I really enjoyed the field. But my son, my middle boy, he developed eczema and asthma really bad, and I couldn't find anything that would work with him. And that's when I started working really with the field of alternative medicine. And I tell people it was a product similar to our Fucoidan that worked with boosting the immune system. Fucoidan actually, from what I've seen in the last 5 years, it actually works better than what we were using before, and that was an ingredient that came from mother's milk. Which, it's interesting when you look at Fucoidan over in China and some of the Asian countries, they actually have nicknamed Fucoidan as mother's milk, because it does the same thing. It boosts the immune system. Dr. Kim and I were talking about it this morning, that if a baby's born and doesn't come through the vaginal canal and goes through a C-section or anything like that, that it doesn't stimulate the thymus gland. And the Fucoidan, if you read some of the studies, on the brown seaweed extract, not on a product but on the actual ingredient, they talk about that, how it helps boost the immune system. So it's really interesting, and so that's really what brought me here, is that I wanted to see results. My son, his asthma was gone, and he's doing fantastic. And then a couple of years after that, my mom was diagnosed with a bad situation with the colon, and some cancer cells were found and things like that. And again, we can't say cure, we can't say treat, and I'm really careful on that, and you all should be too, that you don't ever say that. But what happened is that we were able to work with my mom, and we got her immune system working better, and her body optimized, her health, her quality of life improved, and 11 years ago that situation went away. And over the course of time, I kind of evolved from working with chiropractic medicine and doing manipulations on the spine. I kind of moved more into the alternative field, and then as things evolved, I got in a bad motorcycle wreck, and they told me I'd never walk again. And kind of using some of the information that I knew about the early work with regenerative medicine, I was able to restore the function of my leg. And Dr. Kim and I went walking back here in the woods behind his place this morning, walking through the trees. And when I first met him about 5 years ago, he said, "Man," he said, "you couldn't do that." He said, when I first met you, he said, "There's no way you would have walked around through the trees and stepping over these branches and stumps and all that." And so we've gotten to that, to where now it's fun. He and I and another doctor, maybe a couple doctors, we're going to be opening actually a regenerative medicine clinic up here in Detroit, and we're going to be using the Sisel products as part of our treatment regimen, because they work so well with what we're doing, and it's really interesting. Yeah, on my way here, I stopped in Minneapolis and met with my friend Rick, who put together a nonprofit. He's actually working with the Pentagon, He's going to be speaking up there. He asked me to join him this summer when he speaks at the Pentagon, he spoke at Quantico. He's working with Elizabeth Dole, and just a huge thing that we're seeing, so Andrea, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'm gonna hand it over to you, and if you want to get Dr. Kim to tell you where he's at and what his mindset. Andrea.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Had it on mute, so I didn't cause any noise. I was saying to myself that, I've gotten to know both you and Dr. Kim personally and am aware of your passion, both of you, for helping people and know that that's what drives you in your profession and in your life. And, you've had all of those personal experiences that have led you to where you are today. And I know Dr. Kim has had some experiences, too, in his lifetime that would, shape and form where he's at today in helping people. So, Dr. Kim, would you like to share some information with us today about that?
Sure, and thank you for having me on the call today. Yeah, I share some things with Dr. Kurt. We started school the same time, got out of school about the same time. I'm a little bit older, though, than he is. I look a lot younger, though, so that's really important. Anyways,
kind of becoming a tie.
Yeah. I got out of school, high school, and I ended up going in the Army. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do at that point with my life, and there was a war going on at the time, so I enlisted. Then I volunteered to go to Vietnam, and I extended over there for a period of time. So I look back at that time of my life, and I say to myself, what the hell were you thinking? But that's what I did, and I don't regret it because it was a great experience, and it's kind of helped shape my life. I know that how bad things can be, and so we can just strive to make them better for everyone. I got out of Vietnam. I got married not too long after that. I started in the insurance business. I was in the insurance business for 10 years, group health insurance, things like that. And I had allergies all my life. They wanted to start me on all these pills and shots and all this stuff, and I didn't want to do that. And my wife said, "Why don't you go to the chiropractor?" Well, at that point in my life, the only thing I knew about chiropractors, I'd never seen one. The only thing I knew is they were quacks, right? And but when your wife suggests something, you know you're going to end up doing it. So that I went, and I got a couple of adjustments, and I'll be damn, my allergies got so much better. And I just so interested, so fascinated by the results. I remember I walked in one day, and I was at that point in my life, I couldn't see myself retiring from the insurance business, and I asked him, I said, could I do what you do? And he said, I don't see why not. And so I quit my job, and I went home and told my wife I quit my job, I'm going to be a chiropractor. And she'd been to the doctor that day, and she said, oh, cool, I'm pregnant again. So that was an exciting day. And anyways, we ended up going to Georgia, went to chiropractic school. We had 3 kids at that time. And it was, I told the kids as we were going down there, let's go have an adventure. And we did, and they loved it. And we got to love Georgia. We did come back to Michigan after I graduated, because mainly for family. But started practicing, never worked for a doctor, started working by myself, doing everything, wrong. But that's all right. And then 8 years ago, in fact, it was 8 years ago in March that I got a call from my son, who was 31 at the time, and he said, Dad, I'm not feeling too good. Will you adjust me? And so I went and saw him a job as an adjuster. He was having a tough time breathing. And I said, I gave a bunch of supplements. And I said, if you're not feeling better in a couple of days, let me know. He was working out of town and driving about 150 miles to work. He called me up on a few days later and said, Dad, he said, I haven't even left the hotel room. He said, I'm having a tough time breathing. I can't even talk on the phone without losing my breath. I said, buddy, you got to get in and get evaluated. So a friend of his took him to U of M Hospital. emergency room. They did X-ray. They said to him, they said, you got any family nearby? He said, why don't you have them come sit with you? We want to do a CAT scan. I think they knew at the time what was going on. They did a CAT scan. And, a few hours later, I'm in the room with him and his wife, and they told us they found a huge tumor in his chest and 3 other tumors below his diaphragm, and that doctor lied to us that treating cancer is like treating the common cold, he said. Anyways, that was in March, and to make a short story even shorter, he died a few months later in July of 2010. And I saw the treatment he received by the medical side, and I just kind of made a vow to myself that from here on in, with the days that I have left, I was going to do as much as I could to spread the word about things that aren't just drugs and surgery and that can help people a lot more. So that's how I got there. I met Kurt. I got involved with PEMF. I met Dr. Kurt because we were both selling PEMF machines, and we met in Chicago, I think it was, and we became pretty good friends right off the bat. I don't know why, but we seemed to hit it off, and we stayed in touch. And he worked on me for several years about this Sisel company, and I at that point didn't want anything to do with the network marketing. I just wasn't there in my own mind. And finally, last September, he called me up and said, we're coming out with this new product. It's going to change everything. It's a great product. You got to try it. All right. I can't pass that up. So I tried it. It had some amazing results. And now I are one, right? And it's progressed, and now we're getting involved together in regenerative medicine. And I'm so impressed by what the Sisel products have done, not only for myself, my wife, but my patients. And it's unlike anything that I've been involved with ever before. The products are just phenomenal. So we have that confidence level at this point with the products that we can, include them very easily in our regenerative medicine, regenerative tissue therapy protocols. And we know that just including those products along with what the other things we're doing are going to give us an edge on everybody else there that's not doing that. And our patients are going to do much better. So that's where we are right now. Here we are. It's a beautiful day in Michigan. There's not a cloud in the sky. Dr. Kurt and I are sitting on the patio, and life is sweet. Right, Dr.
Well,
Kurt?
thank you for sharing that information with us, Dr. Kim. Appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
You both had a journey in life that has led you to where you are today, and I totally understand your passion for helping other people, and you've helped numerous people with me. Just to gain information every Tuesday, we have you on these calls, and you freely share information that can benefit everyone who listens. And right now you guys are working with a couple of nonprofits. Let's talk about that for a minute. One is called Foundation for Wellness Professionals, and the other one is called High Ground. One of you can take one and one of you can take the other, and just kind of explain what's happening there.
I'll probably take both of them. I know a little bit more about that part of it with what we're doing with the Regenerative Medicine Clinic. So the Foundation for Wellness Professionals is basically, it's an organization that a friend of mine put together. He's a billionaire and working with chiropractors all across the globe and other healthcare professionals. But what he's done is he's put together a group of us that what we do is we go and we do speaking engagements on wellness and how to teach people how to live healthier. We've actually been working with places like Verizon and Chrysler Corporation and different large corporations like that we're getting into. And a lot of it is coming about because of all the economic crisis that we're seeing with healthcare right now. That healthcare costs are going up, and people are getting sicker. Dr. Kim and I were talking about, he was reading a book. What was the name of that book that you're reading? You were talking about how they talked about cancer back in the 1800s. It really wasn't all that amount. There wasn't many people that had it.
Well, this is a really a neat book. But one of my patients, unfortunately, older gentleman, died, but he had a collection of medical books, and his wife brought these books to me, and this book is called Vitology. And for some of you who are into rock music, I forget what band it was. One of their big albums called Vitology, and it was the cover of this book was their album cover, and it's from the 1800s. And I was looking at, of course, I'm real interested in cancer, and I looked, and it had this very small section on cancer. Not more than 3 or 4 paragraphs, because when this book was written, very few people had cancer. And it said that cancer is, at that point, was always the result of trauma. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's what it was all those years ago. And very few people had it. So, and I was telling Dr. Kurt, my son was involved in an automobile accident about 6-8 months before he was diagnosed with cancer. And he hit his chest real hard. And guess where the tumor was? In his chest. So, sometimes they knew lots of things back then that we don't really understand now.
Yeah. Yeah, when you talk about, the C word, when you talk about cancer, we talk about, physical trauma, like you were just talking about, physical trauma. Another word for trauma is stress, physical stress. But after when that book was written in the late 1800s, it's interesting. Things changed in America, probably about 50 years after that. All of a sudden, we started living a chemical world. And, and like we were talking about, all of a sudden they're spraying pesticides and herbicides and all these different things on the crops and on the lawns, and they're putting it in our food, it's in our water, all these different things, and we're being exposed to all those things. So really, instead of using the word trauma, probably just say physical stress. But the interesting thing is that when you look at the brain, the part of the brain that deals with stress, it doesn't distinguish whether it's chemical stress, physical stress, or emotional stress, and so I think that they were right on the money back then, and then now with all the chemical stress that we have created in this world, it's crazy. But yeah, so the Foundation for Wellness Professionals, it's a nonprofit that we're working with. Our regenerative medicine clinic that we're working with is going to be working through that, and we're gonna introduce the Sisel products to all of our clients, all of our patients across the country. And then the other nonprofit that we're actually working with is called Operation High Ground. And Operation High Ground, it's been a kind of I'm trying to think of a word to use, but a friend of mine in Minneapolis is putting together, Rick's putting this together. He's been working on it for the last 20 years of his life. He's basically spent all of his life savings putting this nonprofit together. And what this nonprofit is for is really to help veterans. And especially today, we're really seeing a huge problem with veterans coming back and committing suicide. There's been since 2002 when the first Desert Storm that took place. That was back at that time. There was maybe I think there's been like 6,500 actual servicemen that have been killed in action. But meanwhile, back here in the United States, there's been almost 100,000 service people that have committed suicide after they got back. And interesting, when my friend this nonprofit that he's putting together, he's actually working with Elizabeth Dole, Bob Dole's wife, and he's working with the Pentagon. He's been there and met with 5-star generals. He was down at Quantico meeting with them, and he's going to go back this summer. He's been invited to speak on the White House Mall. He's going to be speaking there, and he's working with a number of different people. But and it's going to be a national event that we're going to be working through, and it looks like we're going to have some backing from the National Football League. It looks like they're going to be coming on board and helping support some of what we're doing. It's really interesting. It's really interesting where this is all going, because that's a lot of service people that have taken their own lives. Something's going on, and one of the things that that we don't pay attention to is that you think of the 100,000 that service people that have taken their own lives, but you start looking at the families of the servicemen. There's been almost 4 times that many family members, children and spouses, who have also committed suicide. So when you add the numbers up, it's staggering. I mean, it's in the range of somewhere between 300 to 500,000 people. And so working with that, we're gonna be working with them, and our regenerative medicine clinic is gonna be working with that, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna see a lot of people. We're gonna help a lot of people and make some real changes, and that's what it's about. And I really think that where we're at with these products, we can use this with our clientele and get some even better results. Like Dr. Kim was saying, we're going to get better results because we are using some of the premier products in the world. I've been Dr. Kim and I have been doing this for over 60 years combined, and we've never seen products as powerful as what we have here. There's nothing that I've seen ever that gets the results that we're having. I mean, if you have any doubts on it, go on the Sisel World Team YouTube channel and listen to some of the testimonials. I mean, we've got hundreds of testimonials on that site that they're not prompted, they're not scripted, they're just sometimes, well, all the time. I don't even know what anybody's going to say. I mean, some of the people I don't even really know them except for their first name, and they volunteer to tell their story, and I get to hear these crazy stories of people. I mean, like one lady, Linda, out on the West Coast. I mean, she jumped on one night and said that she had 20-some years of back pain, and started taking the age pill and working with their doctor there, and they documented that all the back pain was gone, but not only that, I mean, they could see some demonstrable changes on radiographs, on X-rays, and I mean, where do you see stuff like that? And so it's interesting when we see where this is all going. And again, we can't make any medical claims. Nutritional products don't cure anything. Nutritional products don't treat anything. All they do is optimize the systems within your body. And what is health? I mean, the definition of health is the optimization of all the functions in your body. And maybe we found something here that can actually do that, Andrea.
Yes, and nature is designed to correct itself. So all we're doing is supplementing that. Let's go back to regenerative medicine. You're both kind of on the cutting edge of what we call regenerative medicine, meaning to regenerate. And I understand that both of you are going to be going to an international conference soon. Would you like to share about that?
Dr. Kim, I'll hand that over to you.
Well, it's a conference down in Miami. It's the International Stem Cell Conference, and there'll be a plethora of great speakers and learning new techniques. And I'm looking forward to it. It's in August, and Dr. Z and myself are going down to.
You're going to have to speak up, Dr. Kim. We can't hear you. There's some wind.
Yeah, Dr. Z and I don't know what's going on with my phone here. But, Dr. Z and I are going down and learn as much as we can and bring it back to our patients.
Awesome. Yeah, and Dr. Kurt, I know you are going to one in Dallas, too.
In 2 weeks I'm heading down to Dallas to learn some more as well.
Yeah, and you just got done with a conference, I think in Florida, too, right?
Yeah, I was just down in Dallas about, a month ago now. I went to a conference there, and now I'll be going back for this one, and just, I mean, it's interesting where you see this going. I mean, I was sharing with somebody last night. I was talking to someone last night, and I said, I grew up in the '60s, and I remember, running home as a grade schooler, and I had to get home because Star Trek came on, and I just enjoyed that TV show, and Doc McCoy would come in with his little tricorder, and and you hear that brr, 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 brr sound, and yeah, he had held it over somebody, and they'd regenerate parts of their body that were damaged, and they could grow things back together, and all that. And you think where we are today, from the 60s till now, I mean, 50 years later, here we are. We're there. We're there. I mean, when he put that TV show together, did he know that was actually going to be the future? And it's cool, and I look at it now, and I'm just going, man, I'm here. I'm part of it, right? I'm part of it. We're part of that generation. But it's it's interesting. So many people, they make it so complicated, and they try and talk about the age pill. I just don't get it. How does it work? And so I'm just going to explain it to you in a way that I think is the simplest way that you can explain it. If I cut myself today, right, I'm going to bleed for a while, and the blood's going to come out, but eventually it stops, right? And you ever wonder, you ever sit there and look at that, and I know I have. I've looked at it and go, well, why did it all of a sudden stop bleeding? It's not like I put anything on it. I didn't put a Band-Aid on it. I didn't put stitches on it. I mean, nothing. And it just stops bleeding. And what happens is that your body has what's called innate intelligence. It has a built-in intelligence. You don't have to tell it what to do. You don't have to sit there and look at the cut on your hand and go, heal up, heal up. You don't have to be saying that. You don't have to be chanting that to yourself. Your body just cuts off that blood supply, so that it eventually clots up, and that's because of different factors found in the blood that work with that. But then the next thing that starts to happen, it's pretty amazing that not only does it just quit bleeding, but over a period of time, a scab forms, and I mean, you ever look at that scab and go, what caused that? And then over a period of time, what happens is that the scab falls off, and the wound heals up, and in most cases, your skin heals up to a point to where you can't even see where you cut yourself. I mean, think about that. It heals up to the point to where there isn't even a visible sign that you had an injury, and that's really because of other factors that are found in your body, and one of them is called stem cells, and these stem cells trigger the healing, and they trigger the body to produce these healing factors, and so stem cells. If I cut myself, the stem cell turns into a skin cell, but it's multipotent, which means that if I go and injure my knee, for example, and I fall down a hill and I sprain my knee, now all of a sudden that stem cell becomes a knee cell, right? And then I go and I sprain my back lifting something. Now that stem cell turns into a back cell, a muscle cell, and it regenerates that. And so they're multipotent. That's what I mean. But what happens is that as we age, when we're young, we have like one stem cell for every 10,000 regular cells in our body. When we get to be around 50, somewhere in that age bracket, on average, we have somewhere between one stem cell for every 400,000 regular cells in our body, and then when we get to be around 80, we have one stem cell for every 2 million cells. And so you can see why you're not going to have as quick a healing. You're not going to heal up from an injury. If I fall down the hill when I'm 80, I'm not going to heal up as quickly as I did when I was 50. I'm not going to heal up as quickly as I did when I was 30, and I'm certainly not going to heal up as quickly as I did when I was 5 or 6 years old. And part of it is like I said, because we have a reduction in stem cells, where our body just doesn't produce the number of stem cells. But the other thing is that the degeneration is occurring faster than our body can regenerate. And so again, the word for today is regeneration. And so if we can regenerate at a faster rate than we can degenerate, what happens is all of a sudden we have regenerative health. And so that's where the age pill comes into place here, because what the age pill, the science behind it is really that it triggers your body to reactivate some of those stem cells that have gone into senescence. They've gone to sleep. They've gone into hibernation. They've been deactivated, and all of a sudden now you can reactivate them, and that's the simplest way to describe it to people. I mean, you can who can't visualize that? Who can't visualize that? And that's how it works. And then what we're going to be doing in the clinic that we're working in is we actually one of our medical staff will be actually doing injections with these mesenchymal signaling cells. I'm actually getting my first treatment this afternoon on my leg, and I'm super excited. I'm getting probably close to $15,000 worth of stem cells, regenerative mesenchymal stem cells done on myself this afternoon, and I'm super excited on the results of that.
That is awesome. I bet when you had that motorcycle accident back in 2007, you never thought you'd see this day, right?
You know, I'll tell you, Andrea, when I got in that accident, it was I'm laying there on the pavement. My leg is messed up. It's my foot was smashed into a gazillion pieces. There's blood everywhere, and all I could think of, oh crap, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And they were able to put me back together like Humpty Dumpty, but they said I'd never walk again. So it's interesting now with everything that we're working on, the RIP product, the Eternity, the TSX, the Spectrum Max, Frecoidin, the age pill. I mean, it's just all of these things combined are really working to get my body to repair itself, and that's the key, is that we're using our own body to do it. We're not like drugs. They trick your body into doing something that's normally doesn't do, and with nutrition, it's actually getting your body to do what it normally does for itself. So it's kind of cool.
Yes, it is. I'm kind of in restorative mode this week myself. I traveled home from California, and it actually took 36 hours for me to get home through airport delays and weather and all of that. And I am really having a hard time this week kind of getting back in the game, because at my age it's a little hard to go 36 hours without any sleep. But I'm popping the age pill and taking Eternity for some help. So I really appreciate the two of you getting on the call today. We should probably wrap it up, but we're really looking forward to each and every doctor's call on Tuesdays, and then some of the new information that you guys are going to be bringing out to us here in the near future.
You bet. Well, and the other thing, Andrea, is that, as we build our team and work within Sisel, I mean, the nice thing is that, we have a team of doctors, and not just Dr. Kim and myself. I mean, we have a team of doctors. There's probably close to 20 of us now that are working within this, and some pretty knowledgeable people. I mean, way more knowledgeable than I am, and it's going to be a lot of fun as we see where this goes and where it leads us in the near future. So, thank you.
Yep, it's going to be amazing. So tune in every Tuesday at noon and just hear what the doctors have to share with you that will benefit your health. Thank you, Dr. Kim.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Okay.
Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Dr. Kim. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time today, and get the word out. Let people know that we have some products that can really they can really change people's lives and help them. So have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.